What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. No big intro for the pod today because Matt and I have a ton to get to. Super Bowl 60 this Sunday between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Matt and I are going to break it down, go over the matchups, the narratives, all of that fun stuff. And at the very end, we will give you our picks for the Super Bowl champion. I think the majority of you listening to this podcast know that I am going to pick the six-time, soon-to-be seven-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots to win this game, but I will tell you how I think we're going to get there on this episode of the podcast. My bet is that Matt is going to give the counter opinion and let you know how he thinks the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl, but we'll see what he says. And then at the end of the pod, Matt and I wanted to talk some NBA because the league is on fire right now. This trade deadline has been batshit crazy, and we're trying to make heads and tails of it. So we're going to do that with you guys here on the pod. Matt, I think, has a Pistons rant loaded up after they traded Jaden Ivey for essentially nothing, which, that'll be fun. But before we get started, just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys' support, whether you are checking us out on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or if you're checking out the videos on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, head on over to YouTube for me, like and subscribe to the channel to help us grow it there. But however you guys are supporting the pod, really appreciate you. Even if you're not rooting for the Patriots this weekend, I appreciate you, but maybe hold off on emailing me for a little bit if the Patriots do not win the Super Bowl. Okay? Be nice. But with that said, let's grab Matt. Let's talk Super Bowl 60 and an absolute insane week for the NBA. Let's go. All right, Matt is here in the midst of what has become one of the most insane NBA trade deadline weeks that we've probably ever had. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Not great.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we have a group chat with Clint and Devin that initially started because of NBA Top 30, and we keep it going and talk basketball there. And every time that group chat has gone off today, I'm just like, oh God, what happened now? Because I don't understand any of it really. And we'll break it down closer to the end of this podcast. But I've been sitting here like the last 2 days and just being like, how am I supposed to focus on football with all of this going on? And then I remembered my team is playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday, which I somehow forgot. So we're going to start by talking about Super Bowl 60 that my team is playing in. And we'll circle back to the madness that has been the NBA trade deadline. So this is going to drop on Thursday the 5th. So we're 4 days out from Super Bowl 60. I have to say that comparatively, I feel pretty chill going into the Super Bowl. I was thinking about this one versus the last 9 that I've watched my team play in. Just an absolutely insane thing to say. I kind of I feel like the last 9, I've obsessed over it leading up to it. Like the bye week has always just been a time of obsessing and thinking about the game and trying to look at it from every single angle. And this time I've just kind of been like, yeah, I'm ready for the game. And probably helped. I took went on vacation with my family over the weekend. We went skiing. Work's been crazy, all this stuff. But I feel like I have not been as obsessed with what's going to happen in this game as I have been in years past. And I was thinking about why I have such a sense of calm going into it. And I looked at like the other 9 Super Bowls the Patriots played in my lifetime. 01, you know, I was 11 when we won in 01, or I was 10. I don't think I'd even turned 11 yet. So, you know, I wasn't at the point to have anxiety about that, but like Patriot fans in general, the Patriots had never won a Super Bowl going into the 01 game. They were not supposed to beat the Rams at all. Like, I think that game, the pre-game feel of that game is probably the one that's most similar to this game, where it's like, hey, we understand we're not supposed to win. We hope we do. If we do, it'll be fantastic. But it's not necessarily expected The 03 and 04, you have the pressure to like repeat. Now you're, especially 04, it's like, God, you're trying to win 3 and 4 years. You're trying to become a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
07 is the undefeated season is on the line against the Giants. Obviously did not complete that. 11 is revenge for 07. We play the Giants again. Don't get that one either, unfortunately. 14, the last time that we played the Seahawks, at that point, how old was I? 24 at that point. So I have peak anxiety
still
about the
23.
Super Bowl. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting how old I am. I forgot how old I was today. I bought a new car today, and I forgot how old I was at the dealership. So 14, I was 24 years old, but that was like peak anxiety of being a Patriots fan, which I know no one gives a shit about, but the Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl, so you all have to hear me say this. In 14, we had not won a Super Bowl since 04, so it had been 10 years, and we had lost the last two. Tom Brady at this point is 3-2 in Super Bowls, and Patriot fans had been arguing like, oh, he's been to 5, he's the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. If they lose in 14 to the Seahawks and Tom Brady is 3-3 in Super Bowls as a Patriot, his legacy as a football player is completely different from the way that we think about him today. But they win that one. And then really like the 16, 17 and 18 Super Bowls, the Falcons 28-3, the one we lost to Philly, and then the last one they won against the Rams. That's all. Like, there was this pressure of having Tom Brady as your quarterback and this like GOAT debate that by 2018 we had been having for 18 years about, or 15 years, of like, he's the greatest. There was this pressure of like, we have to win. We have to win every single playoff game, like every regular season game, every playoff game, and especially every Super Bowl. It's like, we have to win because we've been fighting this war against, the Peyton Manning fans and the Joe Montana fans and the Aaron Rodgers fans of the world for 15 seasons at that point. And so it just like with Tom Brady, just always felt like there was this added pressure. I talked about this on Greatest Games Never Played when I went on there and did the recap of Tom Brady's entire career and the Patriots dynasty with those guys, where I was like, I know nobody wants to hear this because we had the most successful run of any sports team ever over a 20-year season. But like, and I think like Chiefs fans can kind of commiserate with me here, is like, there's an extra added pressure of, oh God, we're a dynasty and we have to keep this going. Everybody hates us. Everybody wants us to lose. It's like literally us versus everybody, especially with the Pats for how long they did it, of like, fuck everybody else. We have to win this game or else I'm just going to take unlimited amounts of shit. And I've told you before that losing a Super Bowl is like one of the worst feelings in the world as a fan. And the 3 that we lost with Brady, I like took a sports hiatus after we lost those, where I was like, I'm not like listening to anything, no podcast, no ESPN, no nothing. I'm burying myself in like video games and everything as non-sports related as possible for as long as I can, so I don't have to hear any of this bullshit. I think that if we do lose this game, that I won't feel that way. I mean, I guess depending on how horrific it becomes, I like, I'll be able to drag myself on this podcast next week and do the podcast, right? It's not going to be like after we lost to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl and I was like, I don't even want to talk to anybody for the next 6 months. I need all of you to leave me alone. I'll see you next football season. I think I won't be happy. Like, I'll be upset if we lose, but it's not going to be the dejection that I faced in 07, 11, and in 2017. I think part of that is just because I've grown up and I have kids of my own and things have changed for me. And I think like your 20s is your peak like sports obsession time, and then you kind of, maybe you calm down over the years, or at least some of us do. And I say all that to say I'm going to be drinking beer and screaming at my TV on Sunday for about 6 hours.
I mean, I think you left out a rather glaring difference now, too. The Patriots are rather resounding underdogs, according to the media. That does create an air of there's literally nothing to lose. anything you do positively is a bonus.
Yeah, that's why I said that I
So
feel like the lead up to this game is most similar to '01 when we played the Greatest Show on
yeah.
Turf Rams.
Hmm.
Nobody expected the Patriots to win that Super Bowl. That was like one of the most shocking Super Bowl outcomes of all time.
Yeah.
And this team is very similar to that team in a lot of ways. It's led by the defense, the offense. Like in that playoff run, Tom Brady, I think, only threw one touchdown in the playoffs. So it's defensively led. It's offense has been good, but not great, especially in the playoffs. The offense has not been good. They've been winning games with like defense. They've gotten lucky. If you remember that '01 team was born out of the Tuck Rule
Yep.
game. I think that was the year, maybe it was '03. Brady, yeah, it was like '03. Brady got injured and Bledsoe had to come in and win a game at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of luck. There's a lot of people that are like, this team shouldn't even be here. And really, like, if you look at this team, they've won more games this year than they've won the last 3 seasons combined. They won 4
Yeah.
games each of the last 2 years. So it's really like unexpected to be here. But at the same time, like I've talked about this on the podcast before. Now that you're here, you need to get the job done because like I know it's a great underdog story, and like you said, anything they do is positive, and is instead of like in the Tom Brady era where it was like if we don't win this game, I'm going to die. It's more like, oh, if we win this game, I'm going to be really excited, but I'm not going to be surprised if we lose. But I've talked about the fact that you get here and everyone wants to say they'll be back. You look at it, you're like, Drake May, this is
Right.
his second year. Vrabel just started. You have
Hmm.
cap flexibility. You can build out this roster. You got a couple more years of Drake on his rookie deal. That's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that you are ever going to get back to this point. And you can even use next year as an example. The schedule is going to get way harder for the Patriots next season. Teams like the rest of the AFC, you got to think is going to get stronger again. So you got like Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, who are all going to try to bounce back, led by
Hmm.
great quarterbacks. The Chargers are going to be better next season, getting both of their tackles back. Bo Nix will be back. Like you're not going to have the same luck that you. I mean, we can talk schedule all day, but the Patriots have had a lot of good fortune in this run as well. Like Bo Nix gets hurt and he misses the Denver
Yeah.
game. The Chargers are missing 56 guys when we play them. You're not going to get that same fortune next year. You're also playing very deep into the year. Like Drake May's never played this much football in his life. He's playing 20
Yeah.
weeks of football, 21 games of football at this point. And we'll talk about him and like the actual matchup here in a little bit, but there's going to be some fatigue. So yeah, like you can improve your roster this offseason. They still have some pretty glaring weaknesses that I think they'll address, and like maybe that can counteract some of these factors. But I don't look at it right now and say, yeah, it's guaranteed the Patriots are going to be a playoff team next season unless they make some pretty big improvements. So, you're here. You
Yeah.
got to get it done. You look at like how many quarterbacks, how many all-time greats only made one Super Bowl. Drew Brees, Dan
Yeah.
Marino. There's all these guys, like Josh Allen still hasn't made it. Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson still hasn't made it. But Aaron Rodgers, I think, only made one,
He only
right?
made one. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers only made one. Matt Stafford's only made one to this point. Like
Burrow. Granted, not
Burrow's
an
only made,
all-time
yeah,
great, but like,
yeah, like
I think that Bengals team is the cautionary tale. After that Super Bowl, how many people would have said all these years later, not even gotten close
yeah,
to another
yeah.
Super
That was
Bowl?
the thing with that Bengals team is it was like, oh, this is going to be the team that's going to challenge Patrick Mahomes for the next however many years. And we've kind of talked ad nauseum on the podcast of like making that Super Bowl put Joe Burrow like in our top 4 or top 3 with a bullet.
Yeah.
And now a couple years later, we're like, is he? He's always hurt. He's never made it close to being back. Like,
I mean, I would still say if you told me he was on the field all the time, yeah, he's top 4 with a bullet. But like that matters. You can't just take that away. Like,
And we've kind of made that point, but like the overall point here being that, like, yes, there's a bunch of all-time greats who never made it back. There's also a bunch of modern day, like, contemporary greats who have never made it or may never make it back. And you're going to have to compete against all of these guys for the foreseeable future in the AFC. Like, we've talked about how the AFC is a quarterback bloodbath with Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, all there. Throw Drake May in the mix. I think he belongs to there now, but you're going to have to deal with these guys every season. You got, like, extremely fortunate this year, really not having to deal with those guys, especially in the postseason. In Bo Nix, like, the Broncos are going to be a problem for the foreseeable future. So there's going to be a lot going on. The Patriots can do this. They absolutely can do this. The thing that makes me most confident that they will do it is just the sheer amount of disrespect that they have received. I went over last week, like, all the preliminary people picking the Super Bowl, how many people pick Seattle. ESPN did an article today where they had 58 people pick the Super Bowl and only 10 picked the Patriots.
You are truly doing Mike Vrabel such a service by having such a disproportionate amount of writers picking against them.
Like, to be clear, I think Seattle should be favored. I totally understand why Seattle's favored by 4.5. I'm not questioning that at all. All I'm saying is that if we're going to be the underdogs and we're going to be clearly the worst team on paper, I would much rather be in a spot where just we're getting, like, blatantly slandered left and right rather than it being like a 60-40 and, like, it's like, oh, ESPN had 60 people pick it and like 35 of them said Seattle and the other 25 said Patriots. It's going to be a close game. Like, Stephen A. Smith went on and said that he could see the Patriots losing 60-0 on ESPN. Bill Simmons made this point on his podcast. I know you're not a big fan of his, but it's a good point where he's like, I don't know what's going on with this Super Bowl bye week where people on ESPN feel the need to basically, like, be evil Knievel with takes and just be like, who can do the most batshit insane take leading up to the Super Bowl.
To be fair to Stephen A. Smith, he says something like that every 2 minutes.
Like, I know, but, like, well, this is the thing. Like, he said that because Cam Newton is like, I think Drake May is Trent Dilfer. It's like, oh my God. I know. And I know what I'm doing is just feeding into it right now, and that they just do this to get clicks and to get attention, basically. But I just feel like we're at an all-time, like, go on TV and say the craziest shit you can think of moment in, like, the history of humanity to get attention. Like, this is really where ESPN's at right now. But I think historically, you look at these spots where, and you can even just go back to the last NBA Finals as an example, where we were on this podcast talking about OKC versus Indy before the series started, and we are like, can we pick OKC in 3? Can it be 2? Like, why do we even have to play 4 games? We know how this is going to end. And Indy forced it to go 7 games. I just brought up the 2 giant Super Bowls we lost, the Super Bowl we lost to Nick Foles, like the spots where every single person in the world is like, this is going to happen. It never, even if it does happen, it does not happen in the way in which you think it will.
Yeah.
So, like, everybody's like, oh, this is Seattle by multiple scores. I think it'll at least be close. It'll at least be close.
You've seen a microcosm of this twice this year already, just with the Rams. Like, they cannot handle the Carolina Panthers. You know,
it's really, like, just amazing. Literally the only teams that the Rams couldn't beat this season, at least handily, the Seattle Seahawks, probably the best team in the league, and the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah,
like, problem
and, like,
for the Rams.
One of those losses to Seattle was literally due to that fluke 2-point conversion. And the other one, and granted, this is something that they desperately needed to fix all year because their special teams are shit like every other year. but literally just turning the ball over by not being able to catch a punt.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the actual Super Bowl 60, break it down a little bit, do some picks because I have a lot of stuff to say. The New England Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks from San Francisco, 6:30 on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks favored by 4.5. Oddly, maybe not so oddly, 64% of the money on DraftKings is on the Seattle spread, the 4.5, and it hasn't moved since it opened. Little weird there. I think maybe like a little indication that Vegas thinks that the Patriots may cover as well, but we will see. The biggest and most important question for the Super Bowl right now is Drake May healthy? I don't know the answer. It seems like he's okay, but in the past week or so, there have been a lot of like rumors and speculation about his shoulder. And there's been a lot of like replays from like internet doctors and all this stuff of like he has some kind of, maybe it's a shoulder sprain, maybe it's a partially torn labrum, something's going on. I can make a case for how the Patriots win this game, but it like that case starts and ends with Drake May being the better quarterback on Sunday. If he is compromised, the Patriots are losing this game. I don't think there's any two ways about that. If Drake May does not play better than Sam Darnold, he doesn't have to have like better stats or throw more touchdowns or whatever. If he cannot play overall like a holistically better game than Sam Darnold, the Patriots will not win the Super Bowl. That is it. Like just period. So if it is like a partially torn labrum, if he cannot accurately throw the football, if he cannot wing it the way that we know Drake May can, this game may already be over. He needs to be healthy. So I think that's the biggest question right now. I want to talk about the different ways in which the Patriots can ensure that Drake May is the better quarterback on Sunday. But what are your initial thoughts on this game?
You mentioned Drake May's health, right? And I mean, another thing that really bears watching is you had the extra week off, right? Will Campbell has not looked the same since returning from his injury as well. Hopefully, the extra week off can kind of maybe help with pain tolerance, whatever. But the way I see it, the Patriots' path to winning this game runs through their offensive line. They don't have to be dominant, but they cannot let Seattle's defensive line run amok. Because honestly, I think if that happens, the game is already over.
Yeah.
Drake is going to have to start trying to make plays at that point that he shouldn't. And there are too many guys in that secondary for Seattle that you don't want to recklessly put the ball in the air in the area of.
Like I keep going back to this key point in this game is that like Drake May has to be the better quarterback because that is really the one advantage the Patriots have is that as good as Sam Darnold has been, we have a more talented quarterback.
Yeah.
Like he has not played as such in the playoffs. Granted, Sam Darnold has played much better football in the playoffs, but Drake May is, more athletic. He's a more talented quarterback. I think like the Patriots really like couple of advantages. Drake May is a more talented quarterback. I think Mike Vrabel is a better coach than McDonald and our interior defensive line. But if I go back to I keep going back to this key point of like, how can we make sure that Drake May is the better quarterback on Sunday? Because Seattle's defense is extremely scary. And all of the metrics that I worship, DVOA and all this stuff all says like, this is actually the best defense. Like we've played Houston, we've played Denver. This defense may be better than those two. I mean, just like eye test. No, Like the Denver and the Houston defenses are just absolutely terrifying, but like the metrics say that this one might be the best. So we'll see. But like for the Drake May versus Sam Darnold thing, one, I don't think that we can just count on Sam Darnold to implode on Sunday. We've been talking
Oh
about it.
man.
I know. I wish I could, but we've been talking about it a lot on the pod for the whole year. Is like he is the rocket ship that's going to implode at some point. When is it going to happen? I don't think that we can just like blindly say this is it. Sam Darnold is imploding. That's how we win this game. Is Sam Darnold just has to be absolutely awful. Sam Darnold can implode on Sunday. The question is, how do you make him implode? And it goes back to what you were talking about, pressure.
Yep.
Which one of these two quarterbacks is going to be under more pressure on Sunday? I think the easy answer is Drake May. He's been sacked 15 times in the playoffs. He's fumbled, 6 times or whatever it is. They've recovered half of those. If the Patriots can flip the script and make Sam Darnold the more pressured quarterback, that is how you win this game. Because as good as Sam Darnold has been last year and this year, what is Sam Darnold's biggest weakness? You know this from the Lions game last year.
Yeah.
We know this from the Rams game last year.
Throwing under pressure.
It is throwing under pressure. He threw 8 interceptions under pressure this season, the most of any quarterback in the NFL. So, I mean, I think for the Pats, it starts and ends, like you said, how do you keep Drake May clean? And I have some thoughts there. How do you pressure Sam Darnold? And the answer is Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, directly up the middle. We know from NFL history, interior pressure for a quarterback in the pocket is the worst thing. Like it's so much worse than edge pressure. And they have to generate that with Williams and Barmore.
In the words of our high school football coach, backside penetration is a pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass. Famous quote.
For the record, he did not realize what he was saying when he said that. So
yeah, it wasn't on purpose. I was going to say something else that he said, but I think it's too inappropriate for this spot. Man. So the challenge for Sam on Sunday is going to be that a lot of Clint Kubiak's offense is based off of play action. And one thing they've done really good with Sam this year is like they've, when they've run the ball successfully, they've done play action off of that. They've hit a lot of big plays that way. The Patriots run defense is very, very good. And I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a really tough time generating explosives in this game. So I don't want to make it too simple, but if it's the Patriots, it's like, hey, shut down the run game, something that you've specialized in all season, especially in the playoffs. They've been incredible against the run. I think they've allowed one explosive run in 68 attempts in the playoffs so far. Granted, against some lesser offensive lines and stuff like that, but that's still positive for them. And start messing with JSN. So I think they have a couple options of how they cover him. And I think the Patriots are uniquely positioned to have a couple options to throw at him because they have Christian Gonzalez.
They also have a Carlton Davis
and Marcus Jones. They have really good corners, but I think a lot of Patriots fans are like, oh, we're just going to throw Gonzo on JSN and just see how that goes. And I'm like, I think you have options to double JSN either with Gonzo and a safety or with Marcus Jones and a safety, and then move Gonzo and Carlton Davis around. I think you probably see all 3 of those guys we named on JSN at some point with safety help. One key is going to be like, hey, okay, you're not going to take JSN out of this game. You can't let him go for 10 for 165 and a touchdown like the Rams just did. If you can limit him or make it hard on him, stop the run, and then say, Sam, you're going to have to beat us with Rashid Shaheed, Jake Bobo, and AJ Barner. That's how you start making Drake May the better quarterback in this matchup is like you pressure Sam, you stop the run, and this is a lot easier said than done. This is not just something the Patriots are just going to go out and do on Sunday. I'm just laying out the roadmap here of you stop the run, something they've been good at, mix up your matchups on JSN. They're going to use a lot of motion to try to get JSN out of tight coverage. So that's kind of where Marcus Jones is going to be the key, is the slot corner, is to match up with him and then, have some help on JSN at all times. I don't want to see JSN one-on-one with anybody. Even like as much as I love Gonzo and think that he's one of the best corners in the league, I don't want JSN one-on-one with Gonzo at any point in this game.
That is the right call. And I hope that this isn't what they decide to do, but it is possible because if I remember correctly, Gonzo is going to be extension eligible this offseason.
I believe so.
Seeing how he does under the brightest lights against essentially the best wide receiver in the NFL is a strong measuring stick to figure out how much you're willing to pay that man.
I honestly, even if he's not that good on Sunday, I am still willing to give him a large extension. The body of work has been...
Well, yeah, so like he's getting a large extension, but like that, like if they do that, that is factoring into the negotiations for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I don't want to leave Gonzo one-on-one with JSN at any point in this game. This, like, the thing about Seattle is that it's not like the Rams where it's like, shit, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Puka and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what you're going to do with this guy. And I want to put out there for like people that are rooting for Seattle or anybody that's like a Seattle fan that's listening to this, even if the Patriots stop the run and make life hard on JSN and they're like, hey, Sam, beat us with like Jake Bobo and AJ Barner and those guys, it's still fully possible that Sam Darnold can beat them with Jake Bobo and AJ Barner. Like this offense, the Seattle offense has been that good this season. I'm laying out like a roadmap here for how the Patriots get this done. But like, even if these things happen, it's not a guarantee the Patriots are going to win this game.
Yeah. You
have to do that in conjunction with how do we get back to regular season MVP level Drake May? We like, I love Drake May. I'm wearing a Patriots number 10 jersey as we record this. If Drake May plays like the guy we have seen in the playoffs so far, that is not going to be enough to win the Super Bowl.
The fact that you said what you said.
You know exactly whose jersey this is.
Yeah, I know exactly whose jersey that is.
I'm just gonna leave it where it is. Yeah. I think the majority of people know what's going on in this house right now.
Well, the defense needs to earn the right to rush the passer, though. Like that is kind of the start of it on that side of the ball, because like Seattle is more than happy to have Sam Darnold throw 10 passes in this entire game. They are going to take the opportunity, if it is allowed, to not give Sam Darnold the opportunity to explode.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing about the Rams game, the NFC Championship. Like, he had to play well for them to win that game. And he did play well, granted. But you're right. Like we saw in the San Francisco game, if Seattle can just win with defense, special teams, and running the ball, that they're absolutely happy to do that.
Yep.
So, but as far as getting Drake May back to the regular season level, I think there's a few metrics that are in favor of the Patriots, actually, that people aren't paying attention to. Two key stats kind of are going to inform of like how the Patriots can move the ball on Seattle. One, Seattle is 29th in QB rush yards allowed this season on like scrambles and QB carries. So Drake May gonna have to make plays with his legs. I mean, even if they weren't susceptible to quarterback runs, anytime you're playing a great defense, the quarterback
Yeah.
being able to run the ball and make plays with his legs is always the key to unlocking
Yeah.
great defenses. Like that, it's just math, right? Like the vast majority of the time, the defense is playing 11 on 10 because the quarterback, is not a playmaker. And like as good
Yeah.
as Matt Stafford is, that Seattle defense got to play 11 on 10 because Matt Stafford is not hurting you with his legs, at least not often. QB's running the ball makes it 11 on 11 football, and it just changes the math of
Yep.
things. So, I mean, he was going to have to do it anyway. It's also something Seattle's susceptible to. Also, Seattle is 24th in yards after catch allowed per pass. So they've had trouble tackling in that secondary this year, which doesn't seem like something that should be a true statement. But they allow, I think it's like 5.5 yards after completion per catch, which is closer to the bottom of the league. So it's a lot of dink and dunk is what it's going to have to be. Drake's going to have to be very accurate. That is not his normal game. That's not the game he wants to play. He wants to throw the ball deep. He's a fantastic deep passer. Seattle is very, very good at limiting explosives. This new stat that's becoming super duper popular is explosive margin. Have you seen this? It's like how many explosives your offense generates per game minus how many explosives your defense gives up per game. You want to guess who the top 2 teams in the NFL are in that stat this season?
I'm gonna say the ones that are currently in the Super Bowl.
They're both playing on Sunday. So both of these offenses have generated a lot of explosives. Seattle was actually like on a record pace for explosives the first half of this season, and we kind of documented last week that Sam Darnold fell off as teams adjusted to the Clint Kubiak offense last week. In the second half of the season, they still finished like I think 3rd in explosive passes this season, and they're up there in explosive runs as well. The defense limits them. Same thing with the Pats. The Pats generate more explosives on offense than anybody because Drake May is such a great deep passer. But dealing with Witherspoon, dealing with Eamon Wari and Reek and all those guys is really going to limit your ability to do that. So you have to be selective there. It has to be, honestly, like this is a perfect like Tom Brady game with Wes Welker and Julian Edelman, where it's just like, here's like a dink and dunk and a dink and dunk and a dink and dunk and a dink and dunk. And then when the defense moves up, it's like, okay, here's a big one. So that's kind of what they have to do. And it remains to be seen if Drake can play that game against Seattle for 4 quarters on Sunday. Especially because what we talked about earlier is like, they got to keep him clean to let him do that. But it also kind of plays into keeping him clean because you're getting rid of the ball quickly. Right. So I expect to see a lot of Demario Douglas, a lot of Stephon Diggs, a lot of Travion Henderson, a dude that we haven't really heard his name called much in the playoffs. It's been all Ramondre at the running back position, but I expect to see Travion in like a kind of all night James White role that he used to play when he was on the Patriots. Is like, we need people who are going to catch short passes and make something of them on Sunday.
Yeah, that right there is going to be an interesting chess match. I guarantee you, Mike McDonald is well aware of the difficulties that he has had with pass protection. And so, like, how are you going to counter that? Like, are you going to tell him to buck up and stay in pass protect? Or are you confident in your ability to get to the hot route? Right. That is a very high leverage play right there in that scenario. And quite frankly, it might be the kind of gamble that the Pats need to take in order to win this game. Like that can be a way to get some explosives. If they're going to send the house because they see him come into the game and know that he's struggled in pass protection, then it's risky. But if you can get him out there behind all the guys that they've sent out in the blitz, not a whole lot of guys will have to tackle him. So,
yeah, it's all of the like games within the games are really interesting. It's like, how does Seattle deal with the interior pressure from New England? How does New England deal with JSN? Like Drake May play the dink and dunk game for 4 quarters and just like be very selective about the shots they do take? I think one of the other big things is going to be that New England has started slow most games this season. I don't think you can afford to start slow because, like you said, the defense has to earn the right to rush the passer. And one way to make sure that Sam Darnold is dropping back and throwing more passes is you have to score points.
Yeah.
You can't just like, if this is like a close, like low scoring game and they don't have to put Sam Darnold in high leverage situations, like you said, like they're just like, they're completely content to just sit back and be like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We don't have to throw with him. You got to make it so they have to throw with him. And then you got to pressure him. And then you got to pick him off, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ifs. And I know like I spent the majority of this podcast so far just being like, this is how we piece together a Patriots win. One, I'm a Patriots fan. Two, I think when you're analyzing this game, it's just so easy to be like, Seattle's going to win. Right. And like, okay, so how does Seattle win? They pressure Drake May, and Drake can't make some of the plays that he made against Houston and LA because the Seattle secondary is way better than those guys. And then, they run their offense. That's how Seattle wins. Seattle just has to play their game to win this game. Yeah. It's up to New England to take them out of it. That's why we're spending so much time focusing on the Pats. It's like, one, I'm a fan. Two, if both teams, like, I don't know, exactly like I said, if Seattle just plays their game on Sunday and the Patriots can't take them out of it, they will win.
Also, it would be incredibly boring to just sit here and talk about all the ways that Seattle appears to look like a better team. Like, that's not very interesting.
I mean, overall, I do think there are some exploitable weaknesses. I think like the MVPs of this game, there's like 4 guys who really are going to have big games that the Patriots are going to win. Milton Williams and Christian Barmore.
Yep.
Will Campbell. Drake May. That's the key. You win in the trenches. You win the quarterback battle. That is how you win this game if you're the New England Patriots. You ready to make a pick? Super Bowl 60?
I am.
Don't even listen to me because there's no way I can give an objective pick of this game. It's my favorite team in the biggest game of the year. We have a chance to become the 7-time Super Bowl champions, and for me to just be even more obnoxious than I already am, I'm picking the Patriots.
I am taking Seattle. I do think the Patriots cover. I would encourage anyone who has already decided that they're betting on this game to bet a lot of the unders. I do not think this is going to be a high scoring affair.
You know what the thing is though, is that like this game, watch it be like 42-38. And just both quarterbacks go ham. It's an absolute offensive fireworks. Like, yeah. The other thing we didn't mention is special teams.
Yeah.
Not that Shaheed can't hurt the Patriots, but I think the Patriots have just as good of a chance of making a massive special teams play in this one as Seattle does. Both teams have very good, very solid special teams. Marcus Jones is an absolute hell of a returner as well. I mean, Shaheed's the best in the league. Marcus Jones might be second. So this isn't like the Rams
these
game.
These are 2 of the best special teams units in the NFL.
Yeah, this isn't like the Rams game where I'm like, oh God, it's such a definitive edge on special teams that it could swing the game. Yeah. Special teams can absolutely swing the game for either of these teams.
Yeah,
it's just not that like it's not like in that game where Seattle has
truly
such
is
a
like
definitive
one of
advantage.
McVay's biggest weaknesses is
I really
Special
don't
teams.
understand it. I really don't understand how you could be such a good coach and just you can't fix this one area. It's so frustrating. I'm not even a Rams fan. It pisses me off. This might be my new they ran the ball 6 times in the AFC Championship. I'm like, why can't you just return a punt?
Why can't you just catch the ball?
Yeah, so all right, Super Bowl 60. Pats versus Seahawks. Big game. I think it'll be a good one. I don't begrudge anybody who is picking Seattle. I totally understand it. I can't. I want to say that if I was going to make an objective pick, I would pick Seattle. I can't make an objective pick. Can't happen. Matt, if the Lions were in the Super Bowl and the other team was, if the other team was favored by 25, you would still pick your team. Right. It's your team. You can't pick against them.
I would say that's exactly where we want them.
Yeah, that's perfect. Favor them by 26. Increase it. All right, we have one more thing to talk about. What the fuck is going on with the NBA?
I don't know, and I don't like it.
Which one of my 2 conspiracy theories do you think is more likely? Conspiracy theory 1. 2 years ago, the NBA decided, fuck the NFL. We're going to make ourselves super relevant during Super Bowl week by putting the trade deadline in during Super Bowl week, and we're just going to have batshit crazy stuff happen every single year. So last year, this week, it was the Luka trade, and we were doing Luka podcast the week of the Super Bowl. We were doing emergency Luka podcast. This year, I don't even know what's going on. We don't have anything that's like the Luka caliber yet. We probably won't. I don't even know if it's possible to get something of Luka caliber. Like Jokic would have to get traded for nothing, But the culmination of everything that has happened today is baffling, and we'll go trade by trade here in a minute. So that's conspiracy theory 1, is that the NBA decided to do this as a marketing ploy, and they're like, every year we're just going to go crazy during the Super Bowl week and get people talking about us. Conspiracy theory number 2, Adam Silver saw that David Stern's name was in the Epstein files, all over the Epstein files in the latest release, and they said, no, we're not doing that. Let's make the trade deadline as crazy as possible so that nobody talks about David Stern being in the Epstein files.
I have never partied with underage wizards.
Which one of those conspiracy theories is more likely, Matt?
I mean, I absolutely believe that the NBA would look at the NFL and be like, no, we're going to do some petty bullshit. Like, especially the with their NFL whole was like attitude of like, oh, fans don't have to watch our sport. They can watch highlights. Like,
yeah, I feel like the NFL was like, we're going to put games on Christmas, and the NBA was like, that's the final straw, Nico. You're trading Luka Doncic for nothing. I picture Adam Silver just sitting in his office reading the email between David Stern and Jeffrey Epstein, where David Stern's like, hi, I am in town for meetings or orgies. You choose. And I'm like, oh, Dave, David Stern. Oh, man, it was only the most obvious thing ever that his name was going to be in those files.
Yeah. It all tracks for him.
Where do you want to start with the trades?
I almost don't want
They are numerous. They are numerous and belligerent.
Just do it.
Okay. So I'm not going to do your team first. I want to do your team. I'm going to do it chronologically.
Okay.
Of what has happened here, and we're going to get in the Wayback Machine. And I just want to remind you all that on January 7th, the Washington Wizards traded for Trae Young. That's a thing that happened. It was a month ago, because it sets the stage for one of the conversations I want to have with you here. January 31st, a couple days ago, my stupid fucking team trades Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis and Dario Saric and gets DeAndre Hunter from the Cavs. Very dumb, Very important for what we're about to talk about. So, wait, was it today? Did this all happen today, or was this yesterday that the Jazz traded for Jaren Jackson Jr.? It all, the last like 48 hours is just a complete blur of like.
I want to say yesterday, but it honestly might have been today.
Yeah, it was. So February 3rd. February 3rd. Okay, so yesterday. I'm working. I'm just having a normal day. Nothing is out of the ordinary. Phone goes off. Jaren Jackson Jr. traded to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Georges Niang, Taylor Hendricks, 3 first-round picks. Mind exploding instantly. Screenshot send to you, Clinton Devin. What the fuck is going on? Before any of you can even respond to my text, phone goes off. Bulls acquire Jaden Ivey. Bulls acquire Jaden Ivey? For who? For who? Who on the Bulls is worth Jaden Ivey?
No, the answer is no one.
The answer is Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric, and a first-round pick swap with Minnesota that may not convey. Would you like to share your thoughts on the Pistons trading Jaden Ivey for Kevin Huerter?
Not only did I hate this when I heard it, the more I have thought about the reasoning and the rationale for it, the more I hated it. Because even that was executed poorly. Okay. If you want to make the argument that, you know what, they weren't going to give Ivy a big extension, you should use him as a trade piece now. You make the argument that the Pistons needed more shooting off the bench. Okay. Then why don't we go try to trade for someone who is currently good at shooting the ball? Kevin Huerter hasn't shot over 31% from 3 in the last 2 years. Do you know who has shot significantly better than that from 3-point over the last 2 years?
Everyone?
Not technically true, but mostly true.
It's hard to find a lot that it's
Jaden fucking Ivey. He shot over 40% last year. He was shooting 37% this year. And I get it. Like, he is not taking the same kind of 3-point shots that Kevin Huerter will be taking. He is not going to slide into Duncan Robinson's role because they are radically different styles of player. You still went out to fill a need with a player that has not actually been performing that role well for the last 2 years. And you sold a player at their lowest value, coming off of a massive injury, clearly still not like physically being at their prime. And you had restricted free agency rights on him. So you could have gotten to the offseason and just seen what other teams were going to offer him. Because I don't think another team's going to come out and offer him $30 million a year. They might.
Yeah, just for those who don't know, when you have restricted free agency rights on someone in the NBA, you have the right of last refusal to match any offer they receive in free agency. So the Pistons, like I just want to go back to the beginning for people who aren't as familiar with Detroit basketball, that like Jaden Ivey was drafted 5th overall in the draft, 4 years ago? I'm trying to think about how long we've had Keegan Murray.
Yeah. It's been 4 years.
Super high potential dude. Many arguments that the Kings should have drafted him over Keegan Murray. Uh, he needed to develop a little bit.
Yep.
All of a sudden was seemingly becoming like a real weapon in a real way
Yeah.
before, who was it? Cole Anthony committed a war crime against
Yes.
him and just
And
absolutely demolished homie's knee.
he I believe it was a compound fracture in his leg.
Yeah.
And to further drive home the point of fuck Cole Anthony, I believe he blew out like two other guys' knees that year.
Yes, he did.
Like
So
he was absolutely on one with that. And then on top of that, like during Ivy's recovery process, like he ended up needing to have an additional surgery on his knee. So like he really didn't have an off season to train. Like it was all rehabbing essentially until he got back on the court. So he has not had the same explosiveness that he had before. But he's 23 years old.
yeah.
He's almost certainly going to get that back. So to sell that low to a division rival, like, man, like, even if you decided that you didn't want to have him long term, like, we talked about it in text. Like, I'm with you. I think even waiting to do a sign and trade would have been better.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where I was going. Is like, so you have this young guy who's shown a lot of potential. He gets a massive injury, and you're trading him away before he's even fully recovered from the injury.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not even waiting for him to rehab. The other point that you made that, we talked about is that he's going to be a restricted free agent, and people are like, oh, well, the Pistons don't have enough money to extend him anyway. That only matters if somebody else is willing to give him that money.
Yeah.
Who is giving him $30 million a year?
Yeah.
This offseason? Which team, with how strapped everybody is with the second apron shit, who is offering Jaden Ivey $30 million? And even if they do, you can arrange a sign-in trade.
Yep.
You traded this dude away for two guys who couldn't get minutes on the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
The Kings got rid of Herter and Saric because those guys could not get minutes on the worst team in the NBA. And you got those guys, and you got a swap, which even if it does convey, it's with Minnesota this year, it's going to be like 5 spots.
Maybe.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I hated this trade for you guys.
Yeah. It's just like, I get that they wanted to add shooting to the bench. That's not how you go about it. Like, that is, if you're going to do it, like, go get guys that are actually shooting well.
Yeah.
Right.
But like at a point though, Jaden Ivey was a dude where you were like, this is the centerpiece of a package we could give away for Giannis.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Granted with other young guys and picks, but like this is like the headliner of this before Cole Anthony demolished his leg.
He averaged 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists last year in a starting role, shooting 40% from 3. That was immediately after he got out from the terror that was Monty Williams.
Yeah.
And they're like, I know the last several games he maybe hasn't necessarily had the best attitude. There are reports that he was told his minutes will not be increased. If you are 23 years old, drafted 5th overall in the NBA draft, were playing very well before someone destroys your leg a year ago, and you're still like getting your legs back under you, trying to feel like yourself again, and then you get told that you're gonna not just ride the bench the rest of the year, but like you're not gonna like rise up the ranks on the bench either. You don't think it's going to take you a few weeks to kind of come to peace with that? Like, that's just normal human shit. Like, that's
Yeah.
every bit of pacification of this trade to me is so easily countered. Like, it's so easily countered.
I'm really jealous of the Bulls because like this is like Jaden Ivey is literally the exact type of dude I would be trying to acquire if I was a bad NBA team. Where it's like high upside, distressed asset, team is getting rid of him. All I have to do is take on Mike Conley's contract. Okay. Done. Give him to me. And now I have the asset where if he bounces back, that's awesome. I have him. If not, sign and trade this offseason, see if somebody will give me like a late first for him or protected first for him. Like there's a lot you can do with the asset.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the chronology here because I'm so not done. I'm sorry that this happened to you. This is like typically we're on this podcast talking about the stupid shit my team did, and your team's been really good this year. And this came out. This was a curveball. This is a curveball.
He's gonna like close out the year putting up like 25-5 on a bad Bulls team, and Pistons fans are gonna be like, "Oh, we might have fucked up," and I'm like, "Yeah, anyone who had eyes, anyone who eyes knew at the moment that we did it."
So we spent an inordinate amount of time on the text thread talking about this Jaden Ivey trade with Clint and Devin. And it's like winding down. It's like, okay, yeah, that was crazy, but you know, blah, blah. All of a sudden, James Harden has demanded a trade from the LA Clippers. James Harden has demanded a trade from the LA Clippers. What? When? Why? This man is the master of the trade request. It makes absolutely no sense. He's been phenomenal for them this season. At 36 years old, he's been awesome. Okay, he's demanded a trade.
Do you ever wonder what it's like to have the level of unearned arrogance that James Harden has?
I can only imagine, honestly. It blows my mind. It came out of nowhere. He's just like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. You literally said this was the only place you wanted to be. For a long time, you demanded your way here. We're the only team that offered you a contract. What is going on? And
I was told that Chris Paul was the only problem.
It's so hard to even know what happened here. Nothing has come out. But so Cleveland swoops in. Cleveland, who like literally is so strapped they cannot make a single trade, somehow finds the only player in the league who has like an exact salary match with Darius Garland, off by $246,000. And they're like, we will give you Darius Garland and a pick for James Harden. Excuse me? You want to put James Harden next to Donovan Mitchell and play playoff defense? That's okay. So that'll be fun. That's Tuesday. Now we move to Wednesday. Another normal day. We're working. Things are happening. There's some minor trades going. Mason Plumlee is traded for Ousmane Dieng. Whatever. Phone goes off. Text from Matt. The Washington Wizards have acquired Anthony Davis in an 8-player trade. They're sending Chris Middleton, Marvin Bagley III, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, 2 firsts and 3 seconds to the Mavericks for Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Jaden Hardy, and Dante Exum. And I want to go back to like how I started this segment, just to remind you all that the Wizards acquired Trae Young a month ago. Yep. So in the span of 1 month, the Wizards have gone from, we are one of the worst teams in the league and we are going to tank the ever living hell out of this team for years. Like they've been tanking for years, to we're going to trade for Trae Young and Anthony Davis. and give away assets to do so. And this, like, I want to go back to the Jazz trade too, where they trade assets to get Triple J. Why? Why now? Because both of these teams have purposely been as bad as possible for years.
Yeah.
Years. Why is, like, the 2026 trade deadline the time where you decide now is the time to cash in our chips and get dudes who, like, you and I talked about Triple J on NBA Take of the Week a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is he good enough to, like, if he's your best player or your second best player, how good is your team? Like, what is the ceiling of your team with him as your best player? If you're the Wizards,
crawling into the back of the playoffs,
maybe? Like, is Lauri Markkanen and Triple J a good enough combination to make the Jazz competitive in the West? I mean, Isaiah Collier dropped 17 points, 22 assists last night, so maybe Isaiah Collier is their best player. Like, I'm really having trouble understanding from the Wizards and the Jazz perspective why you would cash in your assets to become mediocre. Because, like, the Trae Young, I guess, like, maybe the Trae Young, Anthony Davis combo has more upside. But if those are your two best players, how far are you going?
Nobody's talking about the fact that they're also pairing Trae Young with D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Trae Young and Anthony Davis are on the same team and it's not the Hawks is fucking hilarious. That's funny to me. But, like, I look at the Wizards and I'm like, you guys clearly, I see what they did in a way where it's like, you know what? We evaluated it. We saw that there are these high upside assets that can be acquired cheaply and decided to make the move, because it is like, when you think about what Anthony Davis can be, you look at the picks that the Wizards gave up. It's a 2026 OKC first. That's going to be, 30 at the lowest, and a 2030 protected Golden State first. That one probably better, but it's protected.
It's protected,
right? So it's not going to be something crazy like New Orleans first overall pick this year. It's like Anthony Davis, still a good player, but I feel like the trap that a lot of GMs fall into is when you're trading for a high upside guy, you only talk yourself into the positive, where you're like, well, we're getting Anthony Davis. He can be amazing. If we can keep him healthy, he'll be awesome. Anthony Davis is not going to be healthy. Everyone hates Trae Young. Like, what are you doing? This is at best going to make you like a middle tier playoff team that gets eliminated in the first round.
If you can keep water dry, then there's no downsides.
Yeah, exactly. This is what happens, though, is like, you're like, well, it's cheap, we can do it. But in the NBA, like, we know definitively in the NBA that if you want to be a championship contender, you have to acquire the guy. You have to have the guy to make yourself a championship contender. Having Trae Young and Anthony Davis on your roster precludes you from being a contender. Even if they're both healthy, you're not winning a championship with those guys on your roster at all, because it's going to prevent you from getting the guy, right? Like, no one's walking through that door if you're the Wizards. You have to acquire them through the draft.
Yeah.
Right. And it gets exponentially harder. Like, you could be like, oh, well, Jokic was a second round pick or whatever he was, and Giannis was number 15 overall. They can be found anywhere. It's exponentially harder to find that guy the further away you get from the top of the draft. Trust me, I've watched my team try it for 20 years now. So you just have made yourselves mediocre. And I think the Jazz is a very similar situation, where it's like the best case scenario for the Triple J Markkanen combination. I think it's a good combination. Is it good enough to get above a play-in team in the West? No. So I truly, the Pistons thing was baffling. I think both of these teams deciding this is the time to cash in real assets for these dudes. And like, I know I just said that it's not a lot to pay for Anthony Davis, but like, it's confusing.
I think it's a bit much for me for Anthony Davis at this point in his career. I would say it's an overpay, honestly. Uh,
Can I
but
tell you?
I also want to point out too that like the two top records in the league are OKC and Detroit, both draft and develop teams. Like I know technically OKC traded for Shea, but like he was far from a star when they traded for him. And Washington's sitting over there like, nope, no lessons to be learned from that. Not one.
They're like, we've sucked
None
for
at all.
years. They're like, what if we just didn't suck anymore? Here you go. Can I tell you truly the funniest thing about this entire trade deadline? The Dallas Mavericks traded Anthony Davis, and part of the package they got back was Marvin Bagley. So if we piece 2 years of trades together, the Dallas Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic and got Marvin Bagley. Oh, we're cooking. We're cooking with gas on the Fouled Out podcast. They went from having Luka Doncic to now having Marvin Bagley.
Marvin probably shouldn't be in the league, Bagley.
Just when you thought things couldn't get worse in Dallas. So there's so much. There's so much that we've already unpacked. The trade deadline is, this comes out on Thursday. We're recording Wednesday night. So by the time this comes out, more shit might have happened. We're still waiting on a potential Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, which I don't know if it happens. He's under contract. So he's under contract next year. And then the year after, he has a player option, which I think he will. My guess is he declines because it's like, how much did I say it was earlier? Like 60 million, and
I think it's like you said, like 63 or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like
yeah.
I think 63.
It's a large number.
I think he probably declines it if he hasn't gotten an extension by then, just because like max contracts right now are going to start getting into like the 70s.
Yeah,
and he's probably going to want some cash in as soon as possible, get one more huge contract in his career.
I would think that if a team trades for him in the off season, it is with the plan to extend him. However, that is with me thinking that if he gets traded in the off season, there will be a better package offered. I have not seen a package rumored to be offered yet that comes close to me being willing to take that. It's not great.
That was going to be my point, is that like they don't have to do anything with him right now because he is under contract for another season. He wants to be traded, and the history of the NBA has told us that when these guys who have been super loyal, like he has, and like, the franchise wants to work with him and do right by him and get him a trade. But the packages that are being offered are like Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon Podomzinski from the Warriors.
Three guys that I don't know why Milwaukee would want.
Yeah, and then like the Wolves are like, well, we can beat that. Here's Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and I forget who else was in that trade, but not someone good. And it's like the thing I find funniest is that the only reason there's a conversation about Giannis going anywhere besides Oklahoma City is because Oklahoma City looked at the situation and they're like, yeah, we don't want him. Like, excuse me, you don't want Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oklahoma City could very easily put together the best trade package without touching any of their young assets.
Yeah.
They could just be like, okay, here's Hartenstein for salary matching purposes, and then pick like 3 young guys who are not Chet or J-Dub or Shea, obviously. And here's like 7 picks that we can't use anyways because we only have 15 roster spots. And like that package is so much infinitely better than anything that has come close to being rumored for Giannis, that I have to think that OKC looked at it and they're like, yeah, we're good without Giannis. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're good, which is kind of a batshit insane thing to say.
Yeah.
To look at this and just be like, you could have Shea and Giannis together and Chet and J-Dub. And I mean, and maybe this will all be null and void by tomorrow because like they traded 3 first for Jared McCain from the Philadelphia 76ers.
I want to say it was a first and 3 seconds.
Oh, let me see. It could be. I want to get it right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so first round, a 2026 Houston first, which is probably not going to be a good one, and then 3 seconds, which like seems very low for Jared McCain to me, the way that he was playing at different points last season. But
yeah, I'm wondering if there's greater durability concerns with him.
Possibly, or is that like a young guy where it's like, hey, we got this guy now, give me Giannis. You know, it's like, okay, so we'll instead of these like this late first and all these seconds, here's another young guy, Milwaukee. So it's, you know, Giannis, or it's Jared McCain, and it's God, I keep forgetting this guy's name, Mitchell, the guard who's been like really good.
Oh, Davion Mitchell.
No, it's like
wait,
AJ.
AJ.
AJ Mitchell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like McCain and Mitchell and you know, a couple other young pieces in Hartenstein for matching purposes, and here's like a couple first, and like we do it that way. Or did they just look at this and they're like, okay, well, we need more young guys who are on cheap contracts, so let's just go get these young guys. That's a trade I would have made. I would have liked to have had Jared McCain.
Yeah, but Davion Mitchell has actually had a nice year so far.
Don't fucking remind me. I'm just going to tell you that like Keon Ellis is going to be so good for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. Like with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, they're really going to need some perimeter defense. Keon Ellis is going to be so good for them, and it's going to piss me off because he's just been another dude who we're just like, yeah, we're not going to give him any minutes. And I can't even get into it right now because I'm just going to go off, but we're just going to do nothing. We're like, hey, we're the worst team in the league. We have Levine, Sabonis, and DeRozan who all need to find new homes. I get like, if no one wants Levine, I get that. But you're like in trade talks with the Toronto Raptors, and the Raptors are like, hey, can you take back Jakob Poeltl's contract and we'll give you a first to do it? And you're like, no, we don't want to do that. I hate this franchise so much. Like, honestly, the only thing that matters for the Sacramento Kings is to just be bad. Just continue being bad and just have the best odds you can get of getting a top 3 pick in this draft. It's the only thing that matters. But I just find it hilarious. We're just going to have all these guys who all want trades and just can't find a home for any of them. Can't do it. But all right, that is it for us. As always, Foul Dog can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you find your podcast. You can view the podcast, or the podcast is now up on YouTube. You can view the video version on YouTube. All of our shorts are over there as well. So make sure to go and like and subscribe. Help us grow that over there. But however you guys are supporting the pod, really appreciate your support. NBA trade deadline, same day that this podcast comes out. If we missed anything crazy or if the Giannis conversation doesn't even make any sense anymore, I apologize. But we're recording this Wednesday night. So enjoy the trade deadline. Super Bowl 60, the soon-to-be 7-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots take on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday. Everybody enjoy the game. Matt and I will be back. Same fouled out place, same fouled out time for what is either going to be the most obnoxious podcast we've ever done or possibly the most schadenfreude podcast we've ever done, where you can all tune in and enjoy my misery as my team loses the Super Bowl. But all right, buddy, enjoy the game. I will talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Robin.
Go Patriots.